This podcast is brought to you by Sandlot Partners.
But when you do some of those journaling practices, if week after week you're saying you have the same opportunity and you're never tackling it, or this makes you happy, that it helps a ton to make the decision that you know you should do anyway. Because it's like, it's just obvious at this point. I've written it 30 times.
I know it.
I'm not going to write this again.
Yep.
I'm just going to go take action on it.
Okay, so welcome back to Case Studies. I'm here with my longtime friend is 6 years, 5-6 years, long time.
Yeah.
I'd probably say longtime friend.
I'll call it long time.
Yeah.
It's only 5 years, but it feels like...
Feels a lot longer.
I've known you guys forever.
Yeah, so Lizzy Jensen, my wife's dear friend, my dear friend, my business partner Dave's spouse. And we've been talking about doing this for a long time, and I'm actually glad that we waited because you've just attacked so many unique, very interesting things over the last 3 to 5 years, over your whole life and career, but over the last couple of years. And I want to go back to some different points that we had that, looking back now, they're pretty pivotal, like being on a hike or talking about different things that were on the front end of some of these decision points, and just kind of, getting your assessment on like what you learned on some of these. And so anyway, excited to chat with you.
Yeah, so excited to be here.
So give me the rundown, like 2026, February, what does life look like for Lizzy Jensen?
Life is really good.
Okay, what is really like?
Good.
Marriage, family.
Marriage is awesome.
Pursuits.
I mean, it's fun to talk to someone that knows you so deeply.
Yeah.
Like, you know the ins and outs of our family and work and so many things, which is actually really fun because I think we can go to cool places because of that. So currently have just stepped down from my role at school, at
which
Slope
is
School,
insane to me.
Which is insane.
One, it's insane that you had the role to begin with.
Totally. That's very, as crazy as anything.
Very just kind of guided / unique. It was something you felt like you were called to do. There was something calling you to go step in and go help Matt and build the culture in the school and all those things. But then also to step down, another like decision point, you know, and so deciding to do that. Can't wait to like dive in on the why.
Yeah.
So not doing that anymore.
Yep. So 2 days a week back, maybe plus, which if you're a woman listening in, I know you have a lot of men who listen and I know a lot of women too, but anyone getting 2 days of their life back every week and the amount of time all of a sudden that's handed back to you.
It's a lot.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
2 days is a lot. So still running my podcast, the Lizzy Jensen Show, which I'm obsessed with.
And it's going really good, right?
Yeah, it's going really well.
Like kind of, is it what you expected? Is it better than you expected?
So much better.
Yeah, you love it.
I love it.
And what do you love about it?
I'm a pattern seeker. That's just how my brain works. I've learned a lot about this in the last year, actually. My brain is a little bit different. It's more, I'm not going to get in the nerdy science behind it, but more like a male brain where I see things and I notice patterns and how things come together. And I kind of am obsessed with that. Yeah. And being able to sit in a chair with people and just dissect their lives, it's like my brain is just really happy. Yeah. Like, oh, I noticed that. And that, wait a second, I noticed that in the other guest. And I get to distill things down for women who are maybe 20 years ahead of me to say. And it's a similar what you do on yours, right? These case studies of like, success leaves clues. What are these clues and how can we find them earlier so we don't spend the 20 years or 40 years and look back and think like, man, if I just knew better, I would have done better. So I love the pattern seeking, but especially in women's lives when I have women in the chair because we don't hear as many women's stories. Yeah. And so to be able to share patterns again with a 20-year-old who's in college or is just graduating or a young mom to say, what are the patterns of success for women as I'm in and out of a career? So I'm also naturally more of an introvert. And so the one-on-one really fires me up.
You like it.
I love it so much. Going deep with one person is really fun. And then I just love amplifying people's stories and helping them. I've had a few guests on who I kind of had to twist their arm, who they were like, I don't have anything to share. I don't even know what my story is. And by the end, they're like, I have a story now.
Give me some specifics. Like a person that's come on that I think there was a resistance to come on originally. And by the end, both you and them were really excited that you did.
Two that come to mind right away, and you actually know them both. Maria, Matt's wife. She's a phenomenal talent. She's like
kind of a savant.
She's a savant. I mean, she's incredible kind of at everything she does.
Yep.
But when I asked her to come on the podcast, she's like, I have these 3 kids I'm raising. Like, I don't even know what I would talk about right now.
Yeah.
I'm like in a phase of my life.
Isn't that the saddest answer? Like, I truly think it's the saddest answer. Not anything negative to Maria, but I think all of us kind of say, like, what do I have to offer?
Yeah.
And I think, like, what's fun is when your Dave did this to me, actually. Like, I had an experience with Dave when we very first started working together. And I had kind of gone, I'd never done a resume ever in my life. I'd never filled out a LinkedIn profile. Like, I'd never had a job interview. Like, my entire life had been entrepreneurial and just doing stuff. And one opportunity would lead to the next opportunity. And I meet Dave, and Dave, I think one of the things that I've always valued so much about our partnership is he really values me and like sees me as awesome. And I remember he went through and he helped me build my LinkedIn profile. And I read it and I'm like, I'm really awesome. And it was because he could see things in me that potentially like I didn't see in myself or I hadn't thought about or captured. Yeah. And he distilled it in language that actually like helped me reframe how I thought about myself. And it was such a gift. And so I think what you're describing with Maria, I even saw this with Chelsea. Like when we were filling out her application for MBA school, and you've got to go tell a story.
Yeah.
And she's trying to go put this story together, and she got a coach, and she was really laboring with it and working with it. And then once you articulate the story and you go put it together, all of a sudden it's like this spiritual creation, and it starts turning into a physical creation. It's what I need to do, and I'm going off track. I got to go back with Chelsea and look at her application.
I love that
compared
idea.
to what life is now, because her application of, we're building out a family office and we're building out our nonprofit. And, I want to go get the skills and capabilities so that I can be more of a leader in this. I've been a full-time mom and I sacrificed these things for 20 years, but over the next 40 years, I want to have these. And then you fast forward 2 years later and she's doing all those things. And so it's
so cool.
Anyway, this is just me here listening to you and that answer from Maria. And I think that would probably be the answer from most of us, which is I don't have that much to talk about or that much to give. And then you peel back the onion. It's like, no, there's tremendous amount of knowledge and wisdom and like gold. So that's super fun.
I think we also look at our lives usually just from the vantage point of the stage we're in right now.
Of course.
And so then when someone sits down in the podcast chair, you get to back up maybe 20 years and again, do this pattern seeking to say, wait a second, but you were doing this back here. I actually just had Sharon Eubank on my podcast. It just dropped and she's phenomenal. She's just a phenomenal human. One of the most articulate women I've ever talked to, honestly. Her capacity for storytelling and remembering names is like second to none. She's incredible. But as we sat there, I was like, Sharon, what I really want is for you to tell women about you. And she was like, no one would want to hear that. And I was like, no, that's actually what women need the most. Like we don't have female role models who have broken down their lives.
Yeah.
And so she let me get a little personal. And I asked her, like, what do you love to do for fun? What did you do as a child? Well, she starts talking about her love for reading, but the type of book she loved to read about countries and regimes and what it actually felt like to live as a child in a certain place. And I'm like, no, that is so pertinent. If you think of what that prepared you for, so then you get this job leading one of the biggest nonprofits in the world, and you've put yourself in the shoes of people in foreign countries just because you happen to like
that
it.
Empathy.
Yeah, I'm like, that wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah.
Then you were led to do this work where you stepped in the shoes. Like, I think that was in you all along. And same thing with Maria. Like, we dug into all these parts of her life. And at the end, she's like, I've got a story. I'm like, yeah, you always have.
So special.
You just need to zoom out sometimes.
Honestly, even just that answer, like, almost makes me like emotional because you're like that story. All of us have a story.
Yeah,
and I think that when you're describing like why you love it, those are so many of the reasons I've loved this process. One, it's a forcing function. I'm a big habit person, and so if I have a forcing function that forces me to get in the chair and to get somebody that I'm interested in hearing their story.
Mm-hmm.
You fast forward and it's 52 weeks later and there's 52 episodes and 52 stories and 52 relationships. And you're like, wow, if that compounded over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, like what would that turn into? You know, a lot of magic. And
anyone could do that listening in, right? It's like, do you want a forcing function? You don't need a podcast. But if you say every Friday I go on a walk with someone that I really admire, like I try to always in my podcast, like break it down for a woman to say, how easy could this be?
What could you do?
What could you do? And like, podcasts could be expensive, time consuming. What is something else that would be the same kind of forcing function for a relationship or for good conversation or meeting your heroes or whatever? Yeah.
So good. Who was the second one? You said Maria.
Ann Bednar.
Oh, how was Ann?
She's phenomenal. She's so great. And it was less like, here's this life story. It was just, this woman has more wisdom than most women I know.
Ann has just been through hell. Like her story, like it feels unjust how many like physical hardships she's dealt with.
Yep.
You know, and her husband, same thing. Like that's a tag team effort.
Yep.
And they've just been in it for a long time. You know what I mean? And they kind of carry the most amazing attitudes and perspective and kind of light through it. But that's hard stuff. It's heavy stuff.
It's heavy stuff.
And where is Ann in that process now?
Still battling. Some of the hardest things for me in life are when challenges you just kind of know might be forever.
Yeah.
You know, where it's long-term care, whether it's your own health or the health of someone you love. And I think that forces you to really change just how you view life. Yeah. It's not when something gets better. It's, I don't know if this ever will, probably won't. This is what I carry and this is how I choose to carry it. And she's such an example of that.
So you love the podcast.
Love it.
Okay. But there was a window, there was a point where you were going to stop it.
I stopped for the summer. I knew I wanted to take the summer off, just knowing as a woman, as a mom at home, like if I'm trying to schedule stuff, book stuff in. And I also want there to be pauses in my podcast where I can kind of reevaluate and say, is this the best thing for me to be teaching women right now? Yeah. Is this the best way for me to show up? And so knew I wanted to take the summer off. So that was actually planned at the beginning, get a full season 1 in, then figure out what season 2 looks like.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else you got going on?
Lots of kids.
5 kiddos. And you're right in the middle of it. Yep. It's like the oldest is what, 14?
She'll turn 14 next month. So she hits high school next year.
Tilly.
So we're
14.
Yep. Twin 12-year-olds.
Down to 8?
To a 7-year-old.
7-year-old.
Yep.
Yep. And so kind of right in the heat of being a full-time mom.
But like the sweet ages where everybody has fun. We're playing games. We can travel anywhere together.
You guys went to Peru and took the whole squad, right?
Took the whole squad.
And that was one that I remember Dave telling me about that. Not just take the squad, like go hike the Inca Trail or whatever. And I was like,
it was a lot.
That's ambitious. You know, that's like a... He's like, yeah, we want hard. I'm like, well, I think you're going to get hard because that's like, like
we got hard.
That's like a real trip.
Yeah, it was 4 days on the Inca Trail. We did 33 miles. Our 6-year-old, who's now 7, it was too aggressive for him. I'm going to just
too much.
I'm just going to warn anyone listening and who's like, perfect. Those are our ages. Let's go do this. Like he was on oxygen. Yeah. I mean, it got sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was incredible. I mean, still the concept, you know, that we love hard things and we're all about it.
Yeah.
Probably should have waited a year or 2 for the little guy to do that hard thing, but it was incredible.
So you got that. You got kind of one chapter that you chose to end.
Yeah.
Another chapter that you're kind of excited to gear up with the podcast.
Yeah.
The mom is just, that's a forever role. Yeah. You know, and it's actually one that I've always been fascinated to ask you about. It feels like you've had this calling almost your entire life to, I don't want to say be more than a mom, but be mom plus. Like that there's some, whether it's mentorship of other women, whether it's building a business, like that there's been something calling you to grow that's outside of being a full-time mom. Would you say that's always been there, that there's always something that like captures your heart and mind that's pulling you to like chase something or like pursue or grow, whatever it is?
Maybe there's 3 parts of this. 1, I've always been super curious. Like when I hear something, whether I'm like watching a movie or whatever, Dave always laughs. I'm like, I'm going to fact check that. Or I have to find the backstory. And he's just like, pull out your phone. Just don't ruin the movie for me. We just kind of laugh like, or books, huge reader growing up. That was like my favorite thing to do young. Is read.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love reading still to this day. And so the curiosity has always been there in a big way. But like I said, I was really introverted, always have been really shy. So young, like, no, like if I could be a mom, I've shared this on my podcast with like 13 kids and live on a farm. That was like ultimate dream, middle school, high school. And so we'll call it ambition of doing something outside of motherhood definitely wasn't always there, but the curiosity and like, it was like I would have this someone would put in me like a dream or a thought or I think you could. And then it would just kind of spark this curiosity like, really? I wonder if I could. And then I just go after it.
But you're a dreamer like as is. Like you have a lot of dreams. Like
I have a lot of dreams now, but young, it was more, it didn't show up like that.
Really?
It showed up as curiosity.
Interesting.
I just loved learning about all the things.
Yeah.
And then I got to college and I was really intentional about like, where's the best place for me to set myself up in life.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like proving myself. I think subconsciously there was some proving myself. And I think that's been the battle of the last 20 years of like really stripping away, like, what am I doing because I feel like I have to prove this to someone?
Yeah.
To now just like, what am I doing because this is where I can show up best. This is my highest gift to the world. This is where I'm the happiest.
Yeah.
But I've always been like more serious minded of just like, okay, God, tell me, help me, show me, where can I give my best to the world?
Yeah.
So that was definitely there in college. And then that's kind of where my path started diverting, like dated a ton, was engaged, had some serious boyfriends, but like never felt right. And then left for an LDS mission.
Yep.
So at that point I'm 21, I come back, I'm 23. And it was like, okay, I'm not just getting married young and starting to have this big family like I kind of had thought I would, which I know a lot of people are like, that is not the dream. Like you never want to do that.
But that was your dream.
That was for sure my dream.
Always just being
That's
a mom.
what I wanted. Yep.
And when I talked to Chelsea, it's the same thing. Like I remember she went to school in elementary ed and like I'm actually a college graduate now, but she was the only college graduate in her family. Like I dropped out of school and pursued it. But there was never a desire for Chelsea to work. She wanted to be a full-time mom. Like, we got pregnant with Callie, and that in her heart, like she felt like this is what I want to go do. And for her, it's kind of manifest later. It's been 15 to 20 years later where she's kind of waking up to, I still want this. I want all of this. And I actually like need to figure out how to balance, these dual poles of like, I want to go grow and I want to expand and I want to serve outside of the home. But I also know that like my kids and my family and our relationship is number one. And so it's this tug of war and it's, it's kind of constant push and pull for us right now.
Yep. It is. I think I heard someone talk about balance once as like the two sides of the scale.
Yeah.
And you just want to make sure they even out.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is just not how it is. It's not about even. I think of balance more like, those half workout balls with the platform, the Bosu balls.
Yep.
I see balance more as standing on top of that ball and you have to be constantly focusing.
Yeah.
Or you'll just fall off one way or the other. Like, but it's more keeping your muscles engaged. It's keeping your spirit engaged. It's thinking about what does this child need? It's also staying really spiritually in tune because one night you just have a random idea, like go talk to this daughter in her bedroom.
Yep.
And you're like, what if I wouldn't have, So I think it is a constant battle. And if you choose to be a mom and you choose to do work outside of motherhood, you just know you've taken on more. You have to be okay with that. That's not an easy path.
Of course.
And it's not right for everyone. But it's really fun if you feel excited about it.
You more than Chelsea have had that earlier.
Yeah.
Like it feels like whether it's doing your law degree or whether it's starting a business or like you've had stuff that's outside of it that has captured your heart and mind and challenged you and pushed you Like, have you loved every step of the way of that?
Yeah. So heading, I come back from my LDS mission and I'm not married, right? And it's like, okay, what if I don't get married? What if that's not in the cards,
Yeah.
right? How could I build the most beautiful life I can imagine?
Yeah.
Like with the cards that I have now,
Yep.
what would I choose? And so honestly, the decision for law school was like, I just was really logical about it. It wasn't like, I think I'm going to love being a lawyer. I kind of knew I wouldn't
Yeah.
love being a lawyer. But when I went, I interviewed a few women who I thought had really cool lives and was like, what's the degree that I could do or what's the job experience I could do that would open the most doors for me?
Yeah. And that was it.
And it came down to MBA
Yep.
or law degree. The women I interviewed and who had done their MBAs, if they didn't really know what they wanted to go into,
Yeah.
they didn't totally come out better. Like they
Yeah.
kind of ended up being maybe in a business, but in a lower role or in a position they didn't really necessarily like or
Yep.
choose. So I thought, you know what, no matter what I do, law degree, you go do 3 years, there's just a ton of credibility with a law degree.
Yeah.
But it's only 3 years. You're not getting a PhD, but it's a doctorate
that's
degree,
like
right?
a practical kind of cold calculus decision.
Totally.
Like, did you love it?
No, hated it.
You
Hated
were
law school.
grinding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, didn't hate the experience, didn't hate the professors, made a ton
Yeah.
of friends, but like the actual going through a case
You don't like that.
and breaking it down.
Yeah.
I mean, I came in kind of Pollyanna where I thought a good attorney is someone who can advocate for what's true and right.
Yeah.
That's not what an advocate does. You advocate for the side that you're supposed to advocate
Whether
for.
it's right or wrong.
Whether it's right or
You're
wrong.
just building an argument.
Yes. And so for the whole first year, it's like, I almost couldn't wrap my mind around that. Like, no, but this is clearly like not morally who we should side with.
Yeah.
And so my arguments were bad. Like I just couldn't get my brain to that.
The right and wrong aspect of
Yeah.
it.
Or in just the like, we're fighting for justice
Yeah.
and truth, right? And I had to laugh because it wasn't.
Instead of like, I'm just fighting to win.
Yeah, I'm just
Like,
fighting. Or even.
I know my client is cooked.
Yes.
And I'm still going to go win because I'm that good.
Or more for me was I still need to make it fair.
Yeah.
So even if this guy is guilty, you need to make sure they know everything about this man because you still want a just sentence.
Yeah.
You still want rehabilitation. You still there's still, I think, a lot of honor in the law, right?
Yeah.
And a good advocate who can say things that a client can't.
Yep.
But the ultimate goal is just to advocate and give them their best shot. So after my first year, I was like, man, that wasn't even, I wish someone would have just told me that at the beginning. And then I could have been like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to, like, I couldn't hack the game that first year.
Yep.
And then by the second and third, it was like, I'm just in it. Dave and I got married in between my first and second year. And so I had already had some other life goals that I knew was like, it's fine. I'm not going to be a practicing
you were
litigator.
on that track. Like you were going down that road before you and Dave met.
Yeah. So we started dating my first year of law school. So
yeah. And you were how old?
24 when I started law school, 25 when we got married.
And Dave was what, 29?
He was 29, almost 30, like 2 months from 30.
So both of you guys were later on in your career. Like Dave had finished playing pro baseball. He'd finished his MBA.
Yeah.
Was he at Portfolio Advisors at that point?
He had the offer.
Okay. So he had the offer.
Yeah.
What an exciting time.
Yeah.
Like just like a new window in life. Like
totally.
Go back east.
Yep.
Finance career. You switched from BYU to what? Fordham?
Fordham.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Upper West Side of Manhattan.
So cool.
It was so fun.
Do you ever look back at that time and be like, that's crazy that was our life?
I'm going to say no, only because step by step, you just kind of see the next thing and you're like, of course, this is where we're going. Of course, that's what we did. Like that was the most logical thing.
Pretty natural progression.
It was natural.
Yeah.
I do look back and say, this has been the coolest life.
But I've heard you like on this say logical a couple different times.
Yeah.
But you like follow your heart deeply on these things.
For
so
sure.
like logical is one thing,
For
but
sure.
like I would probably say most of the like decisions that you make, logic's part of it, but it's like deep prayer and connection and feeling guided. And so I think I'd be interested to break down, like I've heard you say that 2 or 3 times now, like this is the logical choice, this is the logical choice. But I also know you well enough to know like sometimes the logical choice is the wrong choice.
1000%.
Like where did God come into like the mix of law school, East Coast, marrying Dave or not marrying Dave? Like where does the illogical piece come in?
Thank you for this question, actually, because I think looking back, it's easy to say that was so logical.
Yeah.
Because I can see like so clearly that's where God was leading me.
Yeah.
In the moment, it was like, I'm doing all the research I can do. And then I'm kind of just taking a step in the dark.
But it's faith. I mean,
It was
like
100%
what you're describing is that is the principle of faith.
Yep.
But my experience with you and knowing with you is like you have very strong faith. Yeah. And like when you get these convictions, like we were just talking about slope.
Yeah.
Just barely. And like, I think probably the logical move would be to keep compounding and building off what you've spent 4 years building.
Yeah.
Really, exciting things with the school, exciting directional things.
Yeah.
And maybe let's like to capture this point, like maybe let's just go into that. You were talking about an experience you had in Peru.
Yeah.
Maybe like share that insight because I think that's helpful.
Totally.
In saying like, how your life's been guided.
Totally. I think it would actually completely be a case study for so many other pivots in my life.
Yeah.
Where I'm going in one direction. Actually, Clayton Christensen talks about this, and this is one of my favorite things in his book, How Will You Measure Your Life? He talks about having an intentional strategy for your life.
That deliberate strategy.
You're deliberate, and then being very open to emergent strategies.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I can see things that are like, it doesn't feel logical, but the emergent strategy becomes so clear. I just know it, right? But it's usually something like supernatural, something God, where it's like, to anyone else, that's not the path that you would have. So the most recent move was I've been at the school for 4 years. I love it. Our 5 kids are there. It's been like, it's felt a little bit like another degree, honestly, like education and working with Matt and just how much I've learned. And so had no intention of leaving. Like I think I knew, and Matt and I have chatted a lot about this, like I'm not someone who said I'm going to be in education forever. Like that wasn't the thing that lit me up the most, but I grew up obsessed with reading. I loved school. I got to,
and have deep education like in your bones. Like your grandma, longtime educator.
Yes.
Lon's a phenomenal educator. Like even though he hasn't been in education, and your mom, same thing. Like,
totally. So it felt like at some point I'll probably continue to pivot and build more out with the podcast and mentoring women. But we were in Peru on the Inca Trail with our kids, and I'm not a big dreamer. I'm not someone who like hears God through dreams or has that, like that hasn't guided my life in the past. But twice while we were hiking the Inca Trail, I had the same dream where someone asked me a question. The first time it was my sister. The second time it was someone I didn't recognize. And they asked me the question, what do you really want?
So
and
how does this go down? You're in deep sleep.
Yeah.
Your sister shows up.
Yeah.
Are you guys like chatting it up about a lot of different things? Or is it
I
like
don't
just
remember
bam,
before.
that moment and her like pointing at you saying, what do you want?
I don't remember the lead up. I just remember she was like staring at me like almost uncomfortably, like, what do you really want?
Which sister?
My older sister, Jessica.
Wow.
And I woke up and I was
special.
like, wow, that was kind of like, that was a strong dream.
Kind of intense dream.
Really intense dream, but didn't think that much about it.
Yep.
A couple nights later, same thing. Someone's looking at me. And this time the intonation was a little different. And they said, what do you really want? And I woke right up after and I was like, okay. I hear you, God. There's something here. But it wasn't an obvious, oh, there's something I haven't been doing that I've really wanted to do.
Was it challenging you to like relook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, thinking of this as a pattern, I think that's been every time.
But do you think it's just because like you're like, when I think of the Hendersons, like you guys are hammers, like, and it's got, Lon is a force of nature. Like he will physically will the world into his, like he just is. And you can see it resonate into the culture of your kids. I mean, I was in Finland with Kurt and we were telling Lon stories, and it was just like, you can see that like this force of nature personality. And so there's a lot of it that's just like, if you say you're going to do something, you would white knuckle it. Like you would keep grinding on that thing forever until you go get it done, which is like an incredible gift. Sometimes you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? And
100%.
And so like what I'm hearing from like hearing this story is, and it's interesting because I've thought this before. It's interesting when you go hang out with couples And you say, who's actually like who? And I'd probably say I'm more like you. Like me and you actually have a lot of the same tendencies. And I've had those experiences where my entire career changed. I was committed to a path, had made the logical choice, was going in a different direction. I was going to work for a different company. I was going to work for another company, not Apex or Vivint, and had almost like a God stepping in and like forcefully pivoting me, and ended up working for Vivint, and my whole life changed. But it took that intervention, or I would have like white knuckled that path. Like I was hearing all the promptings and just ignoring them. I was just like continuing to charge forward. And I'm hearing this story, and it's kind of like, it feels like God like intervening, saying,
totally,
you got to switch course. Like, I have something for you that's bigger, but like most of the time it's like, I'll let you go figure it out. But like, there's some of them that's like, no, you stop.
I think that's helpful for people, again, thinking this is like a case study for everyone.
Yeah.
To say when you're on a good path, or when either of two decisions is great.
Yeah.
I think God is like, awesome. Go build your best life. And I think when he knows there's another path, that's when he gets loud.
That's been my experience. Has been 99% of the time. Don't feel God cares. I think he's happy for me that I'm making decisions and that I'm happy, and, you know, any route will do. There's a handful of them that matter. And that are like life-changing pivots. And that's been where I've like seen God deliberately intervene in my life. But this one's like, almost sounds like a movie. It's like you're Scrooge and you got like the ghost coming to you in the middle of the night, like saying,
up on the Inca trail,
you
the mind gods.
Like when I was just thinking that, I'm like, dude, you're in like, you got like, you know, that's where Mother Ayahuasca lives. You know, this is the.
I was not on anything. I'll just clarify.
This is the place. This is the place. Like this is like the deep spirits are up on the trail, right. You know.
But that's so helpful for people listening in, again, to be like, well, I don't have these experiences. Like, then just take it that God trusts you.
Yeah.
If you don't need a pivot, double down on what you're doing and like find the joy in it.
But you've never had a problem making a decision. Like you actually decide and go. Like you're like a person of action.
Yeah.
Where I think the contrast to that personality type is like, I can't decide. You get paralyzed by all the options and what could go wrong. Or it feels like you don't do that as much. You kind of pick something and go and charge and make it work. And
I think when I can feel that movement, then I'm pretty fearless about it.
Yeah.
Like, but it takes a ton of prayer. I mean, I'm up at the same time every morning, journaling, reading.
Yeah, and you prepare. Like you
prepare
you
get to that point.
Is that I mean, this is a completely different topic, but do you think that is what helps you be so decisive?
For sure.
Is you've actually asked and answered those questions of like, what do you want? And
what do you want?
And why do you want it?
Yep. I mean, from telling Matt that I was stepping down from the day-to-day, between that time and the dreams, I probably spent 100 hours more journaling and praying. And
you put in real time. Like
real time. That wasn't just like, oh, there's something out there. It was like, I don't know what the pivot is.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm headed. I actually was really happy on this path.
Yeah.
And so that takes a ton of work, but maybe that's where the logic comes in. Like by the time you do all the work, and you're the same way, the answer is just so clear. You'd feel sick going a different direction.
Yeah.
You just know it. It's like a certainty.
I've actually
at that point.
thought about the point that you're describing a lot. And I think about why I'm able to be very decisive. And I think the reason I'm decisive is the work that I put in on the front end to get really, really clear on what I want and why I want it and what my biggest opportunities are. Because once you know that, when an opportunity pops up that aligns with your opportunities for your family or your opportunities for your career, like it's really easy to say, oh yeah, of course. That's
the logic.
Fits completely with this path that I'm going to. The last thing I would say is I go back to this definition of, like, you're an entrepreneur. Like, it's very obvious, that you've always been an entrepreneur. Harvard's definition of entrepreneurship is the gap between what we want and resources currently controlled.
Mm.
And those resources are education, money, time, networks, any resource that when you know what you want, that entrepreneurial gap is being resourceful and gathering the resources. But it's interesting, like what you're describing with this decision it's you saying the ghosts, your sister, and who was the second one?
I don't know. Random person.
It was the Inca trail ghost. His mother, ayahuasca. It was Doug sending mother on the trail for sure. So you have two like distinct dreams.
Yeah.
Have you answered that question yet of what's next?
Yeah.
Or are you still in that?
Yeah, I have.
So
Yeah.
So what is next? Like what was replacing this with this?
One part I can't say on camera. I can tell you off camera. The second one is building out my podcast into a media company.
Oh, cool.
And there's a hole right now for the type of content that you produce that a lot of people could produce.
Yeah.
Just conservative, family-friendly, life guidance type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's not tied to a political party, that's not tied to a liberal media agenda, that's not tied to a church, a religion. That's just out there to teach best practices and patterns. And so I've had so many people approach me like, how are you doing this? And then I kind of tell them the cost and they're like, yeah, that doesn't work for me and my family. And like, it just is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And most of the people you actually would want teaching how they do it so well, there's no way they do it because they're so good at what they do as a mom or a husband or a companionship or a business owner.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have time to then go teach. And it like they just don't have the resources to do it, right?
Yep.
I'm like, man, you could hire one group to produce all of these.
Yep.
And so I already have a handful of people in mind. And right now, the end of this season, I'm giving some of my secrets away. Those of you who listen to my podcast and are listening to this, you'll get a preview before I even share this on my podcast. But the rest of this podcast is really a little bit of a proof of concept.
Okay.
Of like, this is what's possible. This is what we can do.
Yeah. To
then go create a company and pitch some investors.
So cool.
And there's some social good stuff around it that also came actually while I was flying back from Peru. I was reading, no joke, The Christmas Carol. I don't know why it's coming back to this twice today.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know that much about Charles Dickens because we're like heading into the Christmas season, right? So I bring the book with me. And his story is so cool. He was basically like the orphan in all his books. His dad went to debtor's prison. He ended up working in a factory. Like some of the facts may be off, but basically he was the child who had nothing.
Wow.
And then he ends up having this career and starts making money. And he, of course, looks back and is like, I need to change society for this little boy coming after me. What's the best way I can do this? I could write political treatises. I could present before Parliament. But instead he decides, I'm going to tell stories so that the masses see the problem and the masses want to change it. And it was there. I'm like reading this where I was like, you gotta blow up what you're doing to tell stories so that the masses care and the masses see it and the masses have a way to live better and do better. And so I'm really excited and have big ideas there. Also, I think I'm at a point in my life, I'm in my 40s now, where that need to impress and the need to prove, I'm sure it's still there, but it's so different than in my 20s. Where I think it drove a lot of what I was doing and felt like I had to kind of inflate what I was doing to impress people or to show like I'm really somebody, you know?
There's a lot of freedom just to say I'm going to live my authentic life and I'm going to go let my light shine and I'm going to go do my best and kind of I'm good with that. I'm comfortable with that. And you feel like you're there today. You feel like you're like comfortable in your shoes.
Yeah.
Like Lizzy Jensen, you're happy with Lizzy Jensen.
So happy.
Man, what a gift. Like what an exciting time in life.
Yep.
I don't know if there's like a more exciting time in life.
Yep, totally. And I think especially for women, where so much of the marketing messaging and just how we're talked to is that what you look like is the most important thing. And just we have even more messages about what we should be doing
You're not
and how we
enough.
should look.
Yeah,
And you're
like
not enough.
kind of not enough always. You know, that sells. Like it's actually like drives revenue. It drives like your skin's not, young enough. Your body's not skinny enough. You're not smart enough. Like all those things sell.
So I think as a woman to be in this stage, both for what I'm modeling to my kids and especially my girls, but just how I wake up every day, that I don't start in a deficit of I need to prove today. It's like, where can I give?
When do you think that switched? Like, is there a point where you just say like,
I think there've been multiple points for sure.
Yeah. Give me some examples.
I think anytime I questioned why my life wasn't going the way I thought was a time I re-engaged more with God. And then I was like, oh, it's not about that, huh?
Yeah. So take me to a place where it wasn't working, or where you were too insecure, or where you cared too much what other people thought. Like, where was that point where you're just like, oh, wow, I don't like this version of myself?
I think from my 20s to now my 40s has been every few years, there's like another layer peeled back.
Yeah.
And I don't think I even totally realized it was there until my life shifted to do something new.
Yeah.
So, I'm in law school and then go to get married. And then I had this turning point where I had been working actually with my dad, working with his high net worth clients and helping them think through their succession plan and how to make sure that the money wasn't ruining their kids, right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing that. And then they get called as mission leaders. They're headed off to Australia. And I'm like, we're in Connecticut. They were in Utah. I'm not going to fly across the country anymore for this job. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And so I got to one of those crossroad points where it was like, so what do I do now? I have a law degree. I have one baby. And through a set of circumstances was really led to start sharing my faith online, which funny enough, like every mom, you probably remember this time, kind of every family had a family blog.
Yeah.
There was no real Instagram. Like it's how we shared.
The blog was kind of the pre-social media, pre-podcast.
Yep.
I remember Chelsea had a blog, and they were
most families did.
Yeah.
And there were huge bloggers blowing up that were kind of becoming the first version of influencers. And, but I had this strong feeling again, like you should be sharing your faith online. And it was Clayton Christensen's book, The Power of Everyday Missionaries, and a whole set of things that happened around that. And I was like, no, I have a law degree and I have work experience. Like, no, God, I want to do something cool. I don't want to start a family blog. Everyone has family blogs.
Yeah.
But it was just, again, undeniable. Like, this is
what you
next step. And I was like, okay, so I start prepping this blog and I get a designer and I get the first post up. And then we find out we're expecting twins and they're high risk twins. And I'm going to spend 2 months in the hospital, full-time monitoring. And then I kind of laughed because I was like, oh, it wasn't even about me. It was like, or about anyone else that I was helping. God's just going to help me not go crazy sitting in a hospital bed for 2 months because I have something to do, right? Well, it ended up growing after that, and I brought on a volunteer team, and it was awesome. But it wasn't. I think every one of those points, God leads me to do something that at first looks like less than.
Yeah.
Like, wait, you want me to step away? I just put all this effort into a law degree.
You're like, I've got the degree. I could go get a big job. I could go
go help people in a cool way that they can't pay for.
Yeah.
And then it was like a blog, but then I saw he saw what that could really do to bless people. And then we moved out here to Utah and I had started a Christian meditation app as part of the blog that was going really well. And then we get to Utah and it was like, step away. I'm like, oh, cool. For what? Like, what cool thing do I get to do next? I was like, nothing, just step away. Made no sense. It was really similar to this school thing. Right. And so shut down the blog, ended up selling the Christian meditation app, which okay, I don't understand why.
Yeah.
That was the longest period of no visibility after. It was probably a year or two where I literally would wake up, I would walk for an hour, and then I would go journal 3 full pages of just stream of conscious, and it was almost a time where I got to refine myself. You're not online and there are no likes and no one's saying, great job, Lizzy. It's so cool what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that was another one of those times where God was like, let me take you a little higher. And at first it looked like I was being abandoned a little bit,
Yeah.
or like this didn't matter anymore. But then looking back, it was like, no, I need to strip another layer off of you,
Yeah.
of this pride and this proving. And like, if I'm going to do more with you, you need to like be a little less high on yourself for a minute so I can mold you where I need you to be.
Wow.
And then same thing with the school thing. It was just kind of like, this is so random. Again, logic would say, keep building the thing you have momentum around and is whatever. But then he's like, no, as soon as you're ready and you're in a good place where it's not about you, I've got a little something more and something different. And yeah.
But those are hard cycles. I mean, like you're
Yeah.
brushing over them like it's like
super hard cycles.
You know,
it's not.
Yeah, like when the stopping.
Yeah.
You don't just like stop. You kind of dip because it's like whatever you were doing filled some human need.
Totally.
Like, and I think about kind of this thesis of human needs, you know, the certainty, the uncertainty, the love and connection, the significance.
A lot of significance.
And you're like, man, I'm getting a lot of love. People are validating me. They're telling, you know, they're liking it. I'm creating value. Got a community. Don't know what's coming next. And all of a sudden you pull that void out and it's like, you kind of feel like you want to just jump back in and, you know, get back. And so, all of these like little transitions are hard. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But it's interesting just as an outside observer. I look at your life today and I'm like, the stuff that you're working on, you've been prepared your whole life to work on this. Like you have always been like a big mentor of women and kind of felt that as a calling to like, let your light shine and lead and teach and connect. You and Chels have that group of these, you know, amazing young women in college. And Chels was telling me the story. You know, it's who's the girl that like
Ellie Mason.
Ellie, yeah, she's a force. You know,
she's such a force.
Yeah, she's a force, and I think she was in my BYU class. I think that's where it started.
I think you're right.
And it was her kind of reaching out saying, I want some mentors.
Yep.
And so they put together this like amazing group of young women. They use your house, they use our house, but you guys weren't speaking. And she comes back and, you know, she's sharing, hey, I'm so grateful for Lizzy. I'm so grateful for Chelsea. And her friends are like, well, we'd love to listen to them, you know, like let's. And so it's interesting how like, it feels like that's been a theme of your life, most of your life. Like most of your life, there's been points where you're saying, I feel like I need to let my light shine. I feel like I need to express my faith. I feel like I need to share these practices or patterns that I've picked up or learned that have helped me. And the response has always been terrific. You've always kind of got feedback that this is helping. Yeah. That you're not just like moving or like that actually like what you're doing, there's substance. And that's got to feel good. It's got to make you feel like proud or happy or, you know, like you're contributing.
It's super satisfying, especially because I was the woman who couldn't find a mentor. Yeah. I think that's what's so gratifying.
And what do you think that is? Because you had amazing women all around you in every direction.
Totally.
Was it just something that like connected with you at that stage in life?
I think it was our world has changed in a way that you can't even, I don't even think we can comprehend. I think we'll look back in 50 years and then really recognize just how much changed in this time.
Specifically around women.
Specifically around women.
Yeah, you take like the gap between like not in the workforce versus in the workforce, and it's like disproportionate. Yeah, you know, like education has fundamentally changed across the world. Yep. And is changing at an insanely rapid
at a crazy. I mean, if we sit back down in 5 years, we're going to be like, what in the world just happened to the world? Like we just know it. Like AI is iterating so fast. We know it's coming, but it's also, I think it's all of us, like you said, but specifically for women. If my mom wanted to do what I'm doing or what I was doing in my 30s, what would she have had to do? What would our moms have had to do? How would you just like upscale on a new topic? Yeah. You'd go to the library and pull out a catalog card and like rent or whatever. What do you do? Rent books or loan books?
Yeah.
10 books and bring them home and go through them, right? And then if you wanted to connect with someone for business, you'd go to the phone that's stuck to the wall and hope they picked up, right?
Yep.
Or you'd actually have to go to an office most likely and not be in your home at all.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like if I have 20 minutes, I can go put something out that reaches tens of thousands of women.
So insane.
That's just never been possible.
No, it's insane.
But at the same time, we also have, like, I'm reading this super cool book right now that one of my relatives wrote about my ancestors,
Yeah.
but wrote it like a novel. So my grandpa on the Henderson side went to World War II along with 5 men in his family. So it's this story, this war story of all of these men and then what their wives were doing. And they'd have a child here and they'd come home on a furlough and they didn't know if all 5 were going to die or any were going to die. Ended up all 5 came home, which is remarkable. And they're like in the front lines. But I'm reading this book and it describes the work of women. And my great grandma Jean, Mondays were just for laundry. That's all you had one day all day for laundry because it was boiling hot pots of water, sticking them in the sheen, wringing it out, doing that 3 cycles. You're carrying these heavy bowls and machinery. Then you have to hang it to dry. And if it's cold, you have to be thoughtful about when it comes down. And then you're mending the clothes and you're making clothes. Like, yeah, sure. We kind of say it's nice we have like washing machines and that we have washers and dryers. But when you really step back, that's allowed predominantly women to do in just time and capacity. And then you add the internet to that and you're sitting in your house. It's like, I have capacity to do things that I think my grandma would look back and be like, use that time wisely, you know?
Yeah, it's such an incredible insight of like actually being aware of how fast things are changing. Like I think about even in 12 months, the difference in my use of AI. And it's, don't know how many times a day, but it's a lot of times a day. 6 months ago, it was maybe once a day. 12 months ago, I wasn't using it. And now it's mission critical. Like there's not an issue. There's not an issue. I have hardcore legal documents sent to me this morning. Take it, put it in chat. Hey, explain this to me like a 7th grader. You know, explains it super easy and simple. What type of red lines would be needed to have this be a more fair deal? Document, and that happened in 2 minutes. Yep. I had a banking experience the other day where a very complex, unique credit structure that I'm working on. Get an LOI, put it in. How would you improve this? Get it back. Hey, this is what I want the email to say. Documents the email. That whole process took 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Would have taken me a day.
Yeah.
I actually don't think I could have done it. Like I'm not a great writer. I don't have a computer. Have never, like I have a phone. Like I skipped the computer phase. I just never need one. So like my computer is my phone. I can do hardcore technical quantitative work on my phone in minutes and then draft a response that's completely institutional and that I know the spelling's correct, the pronunciation's correct, that, you know, the logic is right.
Yep.
This happens daily at this point. And what you're describing, I think that's the opportunity for somebody that wants to give more is we have the ability or the resources or the tools today to actually do it.
Yep.
Like I go back to Abraham Lincoln walking 2 days to get a book. You know, it's like this wasn't 1,000 years ago. This was like a couple hundred years ago.
Yep. Even 100. I mean, our grandparents
years ago
wouldn't have been that dissimilar.
To get a book.
Now
it's like there is not an ounce of expertise that you can't get access to at your fingertips in seconds and minutes. Yep. You know what I mean?
It's like a step away from the Matrix.
It's crazy.
It's not plugged in my brain, but it's pretty close.
So exciting.
Yep.
So exciting.
I think it also puts on us though, and I'm going to say again, especially as women, but as men as well, for sure, this huge responsibility Because when everything's at your fingertips, you have to be so much more intentional about what you choose now.
Of course.
And so for women, yes, can you do anything? Yes. And so that question from the Inca Trail, like, what do you really want? You have to get so clear on.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it for pride, if you're doing it so people like you, if you're doing it for any other reason, it's that much easier to get into it without someone stopping you.
It's so interesting because, taking kind of this Tony Robbins framework, he talks about the difference between going straight to strategy, which you're a strategist. You prepare, you make plans, you execute, you deliver. But he talks about strategy, and he says the sequence is wrong. It needs to be state, story, strategy. It needs to be, what do you want? Why do you want it?
Yep.
And what you were just describing is, if you haven't actually weighed the whys, subconsciously, there may be some desires or some motives that don't serve you very well, that are driving you to go take action that doesn't serve you very well.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And it's so tricky because it can feel crouched in like, but I'm doing so much good, or this is how I can help the world. And it's probably true. But I think when your state is wrong, when your motives are wrong, it doesn't matter how much good you do. It's like that scripture, like if you have a bitter fountain, the water that comes out will be bitter.
Yeah.
Even if it looks like you're loving people and doing good, your heart's weird. It feels weird to other people too.
Yeah.
So taking the time, and like, women do this, and you were a big reason I started on some of my path of journaling. Just like, take the time in your journal, write and write and write until you've kind of broken off all the other things that were really someone else's dreams, or the parts of you that really shouldn't be driving the ship.
Yeah.
Once you get to that place, you'll make a decision that to everyone else probably looks illogical, and you will be so certain about that, like, nothing can stop you.
So profound what you just said. And so exciting. Because now you have, like, this has just become your process.
Yeah.
Like, it really is your process. Like, the work that you put before you go is so extensive that when you go, it allows you to really go, to like no skid marks, massive action, full send, because you've decided.
And it helps if you've seen the process work. I think
trust it.
It's scary the first time, but then when you have a win, you're like, okay, no one believed me that time, but it worked.
Yep.
But then the stakes get higher every time.
Yeah.
Like, if I do this media company, I will do it. It depends on the timing, how we figure it all out. It'll be investment this time.
You've got to be willing to fail. And that's so scary. You know what I mean? To actually get in the arena.
Yeah.
You think about like this idea of like the gladiators. Lindsey Vonn, just barely in the Olympics. Like,
unbelievable.
It makes me emotional, to think of her outcome wasn't the outcome that she prepared her whole life for. She's 41 years old. Can win a gold medal. Tears up her knee. Still gets in the arena, and it doesn't work. Has a terrible crash, and all the haters are coming out and just getting all, spewing whatever. And I'm watching her going, that is so beautiful. Like, if I fail, I want to fail like Lindsey Vonn.
Yep.
I want to like be in the arena at the highest level with the highest stakes, doing my very best.
Yep.
Because that's the one where you can just like,
I lived.
Like, I took it to the limit. My best was my best, and, didn't shake out, but it shook out for me, and so those things get me,
You think 50 years from now, we look back, or 20, and we say, yeah, who won the gold 20 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't think I'll forget the story of Lindsey Vonn. We remember the stories and the heroics of people who were like, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And something's actually on the line for me.
Yeah. The Olympics are so profound. I'm just like,
we're so good.
I'm contrasting these two experiences. The first one, I remember, and I don't watch many of the events, but I remember I snowboarded growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm watching Shaun White, I think it was 2012 in Japan. And he had the most horrific accident 6 months before.
Yes.
Like almost ripped his face off on the side of the half pipe.
I was a snowboarder too. I remember this.
Yeah. And so he, works all the way. And if you've crashed, like they talk about getting back on the bowl if you're like a rodeo person, but like when you've had a bad crash, like to be able to fully trust again, takes so much courage.
Yep.
And he's in the Olympics, has had a great round. He's number 2. And he's the last person to go and has to throw a perfect round, a perfect run. And he throws it. And I still remember just crying. I'm sitting here watching, sitting by myself, watching the Olympics, crying. I'm like, why am I like emotional right now? And it's actually the same feeling with like a Lindsey Vonn, where you're like, where it's emotional is you physically see somebody that's pushed their life to the full extent of their potential and willing to get in the arena and kind of that daring greatly. And the two outcomes, Shaun White wins the Olympics and Lindsey Vonn like leaves, in the ambulance.
Yeah.
But there's so much beauty in both of those outcomes, and but what you're describing right now, where you say it's scarier the next time.
Yep.
Because the consequence continues to ratchet up and
and I think if you believe there's a God, it's like that's intentional design.
Yeah.
That's how a great trainer gets you strong. It's like, sure, you can do 25s. We're jumping to 30s today.
Yeah.
And you're like, I was just feeling so comfortable at 25s. But then you're like, I feel good now.
Yeah.
Look what I can do. And I think that's where God takes you, where it's like, just keep trusting until you kind of become unshakable. Like, I just know when he tells me to go, there's a good reason.
It's
I
time.
might not see that reason for decades. It doesn't shake out the way I think a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I know eventually that's the better choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's the cool thing about your 40s is you have that confidence. You've stripped off some of your own pride and need to impress. And then it's just like, let's do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got these really exciting things that you're working on. Talk to me about you and Dave and the family that you guys have built and how that fits in the mix.
I mean, there's no, how do you describe like what family does and what it brings out of you and how it refines you? And like, I think it's everything, and it's the hardest thing in life, and it's the best thing in life. And it's probably not a surprise that those two things come together, right?
Yeah.
The people who see you day in, day out. Like I'm surprisingly public and open with people on my podcast, but I'm actually pretty private. So if someone just happens to walk in on me and I don't have time to like get my crap together, I'm like, wait, I don't have my best face forward right now. And Dave's actually been really great in helping me be like, no, that people like the raw and stop putting it all together, And so I think I've come a long way and still have a long way to go there.
From like perfectionism or like
from perfectionism, people pleasing, just like you said, I want people to think I'm cool.
Or not be seen as weak or vulnerable like that. That's really hard.
Totally. And so, but family's the place where you don't do any of that.
Yeah.
And where the worst of you shows up too often.
You get stripped down for sure. Like,
yep. And you say things or do things. And I'm like, man, my kids, one thing they will know by the time they leave the house is like how to apologize with your whole heart. Cause they've seen me apologize to them
so many times.
Like, I was an idiot last night. What was I thinking? I'm so sorry. And I was tired, or that was a bad morning, or I was frustrated about something else. I mean, like that, I love when people talk about their parents and they're like, they just like never heard them fight, or my mom's so this. I'm like, just those things will never be said about me.
It's not our life
in any realm.
Yeah.
And so family is just the most beautiful thing in the world. Like I didn't end up having 13 kids, but I'm obsessed with being a mom.
Yeah.
I love being a mom. It's definitely, once God was like, hey, go down this path and do these other things, the applause is not in motherhood.
Yeah.
And so remembering that, and again, my morning time of like, what am I really after? Where are my goals? What matters more? Like it takes actual mental, spiritual, physical work.
Focus.
To keep that in balance.
Because it really is like that, the marshmallow example of like 1 today versus 2 tomorrow.
Totally.
Like you're referencing Clayton Christensen, but he's like, you really don't know what results, what came from all those hours and blood,
Totally.
sweat, and tears with your kids until like 20 years from now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like those lessons manifest themselves a long ways down
Yep.
and the return on investment comes
It's a long
a
hold.
long ways. But you don't, you'll
Yep.
get little tastes of the instant gratification.
Yeah.
CJ did like this like page at his school. And it's like, my dad is, get emotional, but he goes through these 7 things that his dad is, you know, and talks about my dad's job is tells people what to do. Just start laughing. I'm like, this 6-year-old, you know, that's how he interprets,
good.
you know, my job. But then the one that hit me is he says, I love when, and there's a space and he gets to write it in. And he's like, I love when my dad tells me I'm his best friend. And I'm thinking about this and I'm like, I've had that conversation with this little guy for 4 years. And I'll just remind him, I'll say, hey, CJ, who's your best friend? I say, Daddy. I said, who's Daddy's best friend? He said, CJ. And all of a sudden you see it on paper, you know, 3 or 4 years later and you don't know if it's hitting. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, that actually matters. You know, that I know it matters to me.
Yep.
But it actually matters to him. And I think that's kind of the beauty and the hardship, or the, you know, parenting requires faith.
Totally.
Because you're putting in effort for a lot of years. You're planting seeds for a lot of years. Seeds of faith, seeds of work, seeds of integrity and honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the hard thing with parenting, the humbling part, is what you do communicates so much more than what you'll say.
Yep.
Your kids are just watching. They're watching everything. They're watching if you're waking up and working out. They're watching if me and Chelsea are fighting, or if we're like loving each other. You know, like they're always watching.
Mm-hmm.
Watching how you treat the other siblings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's hard because you screw stuff up, you know?
Yep. Yep. And I think that's like the most beautiful place to just change and to be better. And I love that we live in a generation of parenting where it's okay to admit that, and to not have to have all the answers, and to admit that, like, I did it wrong yesterday.
Yeah.
I think our generation of parents does that a lot more. And I'm grateful for that. And like, also then to have the conversations with my kids and see how quick they are to be like, hey, it's all good. Don't worry, Mom.
Yeah.
It's okay. And just be like, if that doesn't teach you as a human being, like the beauty of God,
Yeah.
I don't know what does. And it's a huge gift in my life to have that over and over from each
That
of my
grace.
kids. And
yeah. Like almost
and
like
Dave.
instant grace, like
Yep.
unlimited forgiveness.
Yep.
We could go on all day. I've got a couple more questions.
Okay.
What belief did you hold at one point that you knew was true, had complete certainty around it, built your life around it, that today you don't believe? What have you had to relearn or re-question that's made you a better person? That at one point this thing was doctrine, or this thing was like,
yeah, that
today you say, I'm not where I was before.
The hardest thing for me was deciding to do something outside the home. And that process of, you should start a blog and do some of this work.
Yeah.
Was months of agony.
Because you were like beating yourself up?
No, because I was just like, no, this isn't what I've been taught. Like, I have a phenomenal mom. You know, my mom, 6 kids.
Yeah.
She's just like the most selfless person I know.
That's the model.
That's the model.
Yeah.
And like anything other than that is wrong. And I'm just like, so why am I feeling like this is my path?
It's calling.
This makes no sense to me. I've never wanted this. It was the same. The mission was the same. Same thing with going to law school. Every one of those was like, what are you doing with my life? And I have to be getting like, I'm getting fooled here
Yeah.
because this is not the right path. Now, I always try to be so careful because that's not every woman's path. That's not to say that's wrong for everyone. God bless the women who give their all in motherhood.
Yeah.
And for those lucky kids who have the full undivided attention of a mom, like, you are more blessed than you know, right?
Yeah.
And so this isn't to say that's true for everyone, but for me to question that God may lead me to do things that isn't the path that everyone thought for me or that my parents had always shared. And it expresses in like little ways, but like that was the big one for sure.
Yeah. You think that's really what your parents shared was the path? Or was that just how you interpret
I
it?
think that was just what women said in general.
Yeah.
And again, I think a big part of that was that we didn't have any option other than go full time in an office or be home. Like, I look at it, my mom was doing all sorts of projects at home.
Of course.
But it wasn't like working as a paid employee.
Yeah.
She was volunteering for this and helping my dad with so many things. And there was this video program that her friend was putting out, and she was a star in this video, and our family was, I mean, like, there were things happening all the time, right?
Yeah.
But working was very binary. If you worked, you had to be in an office because there wasn't an ability to work otherwise. So I think that's what I learned in my church classes. That's what I learned. That's what my religion taught very strictly.
Yeah.
But the world was very different, you know?
Yeah.
And so, had to come to terms with, like, do I trust myself and God more than all these things that I've been told before?
What advice would you give yourself if you could go back and talk to a 21-year-old Lizzy? Like, if you were sitting down and you could give wisdom, like, what advice would you give yourself? Do this, don't do this.
I would say, trust yourself. Don't spend all that time wondering if you really know what you think you know in your heart, like the path that's right, or when you feel like something's off and going and talking to the person, like, you know way more than you think, and you're letting a lot of other people's opinions and thoughts about you and about life take you down paths that are just detours that don't. So trust yourself. When you know a thing, do it faster. And it sounds like maybe I did all these things so fast. There were months in between. I would also say have way more fun. Have way more fun. I'm like so serious and take myself so seriously. And like, I think back on, my mission experience, and I hear some of these girls who go out and they were laughing so much. And I had two companions, 3, who I laughed a lot with. And I'm like, I should have made, that can just be life. Like, life and the work you do can be super serious. But man, is it awesome and fun. And you're the person responsible to bring yourself joy every day.
Yeah.
So go do the thing you love and go laugh. It's almost like when I get to something hard or intense or spiritual, I just want to sit in it and like feel it deeply. And then when there's something really happy or when it's time to laugh, I don't do it. I don't savor those moments.
You don't give yourself the ability
to... it's like, don't waste your time.
Yeah.
It's like, no, laugh hard when you laugh. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, so we just went on this Finland trip.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've had a ton of different people come sit in the sauna with us, and it just kind of ended up that the same group was the group that would show up. And it was probably 6 months ago. We're sitting there, and somebody brings up, we should go to Finland together and go see every cool sauna. And your brother Kurt's like, a sauna nut. And so he leads it out. Trip wouldn't have happened without Kurt, but he goes and puts the schedule together. It has nothing strategic. There is no strategic value in that trip. I'm like, the stuff that matters the most to me, my family, my business. Most of the time I try to couple any travel with one of those things. If I'm going to travel, go travel with my family, and I can, experience something, but also be with my kids. If I'm going to golf with the group of investors that, could give us money, or that we could go buy their company. And so this was one that kind of fell out of the box. And also it was kind of a lot of days. And so it's easy to make a commitment 6 months before. It's way out there, and just put it on the calendar and buy the ticket. Yeah. As it crept up, there were so many people on that trip, myself included, they were like, I don't know if I can do this right now. I got a lot with family, I got a lot with business. And we ended up going on that trip, completely special trip. But I was telling somebody about it yesterday, and I was like, it was a complete indulgence. I'm with some of my best friends, experiencing a place in the world don't know if I'll ever experience again, in a way that I don't know if I'll ever experience it again. So many deep conversations, so many insights. I'm like, what if I would have missed that? And the efficiency bone in me would chop that trip, and it would just get really granular and efficient and optimization. And I think it comes back to some of the stuff you're describing, which is like, you don't have to have it pinned to the red line all the time. Like, you don't have to be fully optimized all the time. And that, like, there is some goodness in the soul to laugh and to have hobbies and experiences that you'd like just because you like them. And there's no like strategic value other than, you want to go do something. And I think when you're describing that, I'm hearing that. My follow-up question to you would be, do you allow yourself to do that today? If that's the advice you'd give to 21-year-old, are you there today? Like, do you laugh as much as you should laugh in 2026?
Definitely on the path in a way I'm really happy about and proud about. Like,
you feel good about it.
But I still have this vision of like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, I'm shifting some things, and I won't share everything right now on my podcast of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Part of this 2-month transition was, okay, if I have more capacity to put in this podcast, what do I really want to teach women?
Yeah.
And where do I think they're struggling the most and what they could use? And this concept is a big part of it. And I've thought a lot about it. And I've actually been doing a ton of research and studies on this concept. And what I'm going to be going into, which I'll announce on my podcast in like 2 weeks, so I can't like blow the surprise right here. But I think if we would let ourselves be led more with excitement, and with joy. And this is one of the questions that when we kind of first met on that hike, and you were telling me about your weekly study or your weekly journaling, I was like, wait, what gets me excited? Have I ever let excitement drive me before and drive my decisions? And I do it so much more, but I think there's a hidden compass in us that joy and excitement will point us in the right direction more often than not. And it's fun to see, like, it doesn't always have to be so heavy and hard. You'll get answers by just following. And joy is different than pleasure, and it's different than hedonism, and it's different than the happiness. And, but the real true, where it's not for all these other reasons, that just, where is my heart calling me to?
Yeah.
Trust yourself a little more there.
Yeah. The one question I'd add to your routine that I've added in the last couple of years is, what makes me happy? That question has been so profound for me, because when I go through and I list out those things, there was things that surprised me. Like, I don't want to say I've had a negative view on church, but I didn't like church growing up. Like, church was always a struggle with my family. It was something.
It was a battle.
It was 3 hours. Like, I, so bored. Can't wait to get home. And kind of that was my foundation. And I've kind of carried that with me all throughout life, that it's more of a duty than a joy.
It's a medicine you take.
Yeah, it's a medicine I take, and I value it, but I don't like it. And then I go through that question. I actually like listed like what makes me happy. And I've done it a lot. They had a Harvard professor that prompted us to do it, and I've kept the habit. And where it's been so profound to me is I realized there's things that I didn't fully grasp how happy they make me. And when I'm sitting at church with my family, and we made it through the morning and like the fight and the struggle of getting shoes on and, all of that. And we're just sitting there in the chaos. And it's like, it actually like, it's like really, it's this simple thing. And I love seeing my friends showing up and knowing that they're in the same struggle. And it was actually like this paradigm shift for me. We're realizing like, this isn't a struggle. This actually like brings me great joy. I actually love this. Like, I love that our family comes together. And there was 50 other things, and it's most of them end up, it's not this like hero event. It's these simple daily practices. It's making love to my wife. It's sitting in the sauna. It's cooking meat on the Traeger, watching a football game. It's like putting my kids to bed, and you start like, as you start becoming aware of the joy and the silliness and the laughter, you start finding I have found opportunities to include more of those things in my life. And that just when we were talking about being decisive, it's easy to be decisive on like these hero goals and these challenges and this, but also being very decisive of like, I'm going to get home. I could either stay on this golf trip until 8:30, or I could like shut it down, get home at 6:30, show up and actually put my boys to bed. And that makes me super happy. And I don't know how long that window is going to go. And I'm going to say yes every time I can say yes until they don't want me to anymore, And anyway, those are some things like that are prompts to me when you're talking about like advice to a young Lizzy, that I'm like, I'm in that mode right now of trying to live that same advice that I would give like a, 21-year-old Casey of, like do more of the things consistently. Say yes to the stuff that you love. Say yes to the stuff that makes you happy. And it kind of drives everything else. You know what I mean? If you're rolling through life with a pretty happy, content, grateful temperament, it feels like a lot of the other stuff that doesn't make you happy goes a lot better. A lot of the stuff that you just have to do, you show up because of duty.
Yep.
You can show up with a little bit better energy,
And you can also know where to just cut stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
and what to say no to. Yeah.
Like,
that's so
actually,
profound.
If this has never showed up on my happiness list,
yeah,
if I still value it, I better find out a way to like feel happier about it.
And why am I saying yes to this? Yeah.
How can I lean into it differently or show up with a different energy or choose only a piece of it?
Yeah.
But if it doesn't align with my values and it doesn't make me happy, for sure that's out of my life now, even if everybody says I should do it. And it makes total sense to my career, or it's the best thing.
Though. Like to actually like cut stuff out.
Yeah.
I've got this golf membership at Silverleaf. This course is a 10 out of 10. I love this course. I've known for 2 years I should cut this membership. Don't get out there. The tee sheet's crazy tight, but I just haven't done it. And then finally, like, sent them a letter, cut the membership. I haven't thought about it for a second since. But that took real estate in my brain for 2 years.
Yep.
Should I cut it or should I not cut it? Go back to not cut it. Should I cut it or I'm like 2 years. I wish I like would have acted before,
Yes.
And I think how many of those like things are just taking up real estate in your brain.
Totally.
That if you were to cut them and move on, it just like frees you to move on to like more productive things.
Yeah. But that question's so good for that, because it goes back to the like, oh, it feels so logical. Well, yeah, looking back. But when you do some of those journaling practices, if week after week you're saying you have the same opportunity and you're never tackling it,
you get
or
there.
This makes you happy, that it helps a ton to make the decision that you should do anyway. Because it's like, it's just obvious at this point. I've written it 30 times.
I know it.
I'm not going to write this again.
Yep.
I'm just going to go take action on it. I'm sick of my own self right now, not making the decision.
This is so fun for me. I'm so excited for kind of podcast 2.0. So excited to see what you go do with this media company. I'm so excited for like this mystery announcement, that we're kind of hanging out for. Before we finish up, you are one of the most faithful humans that I know in my life. Like it, and all of us take the good from our parents. And when I think of the Hendersons, like a incredibly strong faith is always tied. Faith and hard work. Those two things are like, way I would describe the Henderson family. But you specifically, it feels like you take so much of, the good from both of your parents.
Thank you.
Talk to me about how faith has factored in the entire journey. From growing up to going to BYU to going on a mission to all of these things. I mean, we've touched on it a lot, but where does faith fit in the mix for you?
I mean, for sure, it's guided every one of my best decisions that I've ever made. Marrying Dave, having kids, when we've had kids, all of those decisions you just mentioned. it's really comforting if you believe in a God that loves you and has your best interest to be able to go to someone that can see into the future. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have the best business mentor, they can project from what they know and what they've seen, but to actually believe in a God who's like, I can help you. I know you better than you know yourself, and I know what's coming, and I know, like, that's pretty phenomenal. I don't think we think of it as even in those terms, because maybe those of us who've grown up in religion, it becomes so familiar that you kind of forget what a coolest thing in the world it is, like it's like the Greek mythology, like you have access to an oracle, like that's actually what you have, right? And so for me, when life has been much different than I expected it to be and wanted it to be when I was younger, and at every change in my life, at every point in my life, to just know that I'm going to get an answer, that I'm going to be able to come to a place and feel directed and feel guided. And also when I'm on my path and feeling like, hey, I'm not really sure, or I'm feeling really good about that deliberate strategy, to also trust that, like, if there's something else, God's got that too, and he'll show up and he'll prompt. And then I think there's the not as happy, not as sexy parts of, like, the real lows of my life and the hardest parts, and could list 100 of those as well, where it's like, I've got no one else who gets it right now. There's no one who understands how heavy and how hard and how lonely and how I have no idea what to do next. And just like Jesus was there in a real way that was undeniable, where it's like, I am not alone. There's someone here in the middle of this hellhole with me. Like, to have it at both ends, to guide and direct me to the most beautiful life possible, and to have it at the low end to say that, like, someone's always there with me. Like, my faith has been there all through it. And that's more than I can say for my parents, which is crazy because I had amazing parents, but there are times when they weren't there because they're human, right? So more than I can say for my own spouse, which, Dave, he's incredible. And we have, like, I love what we're building in our marriage and where we are. And, like, but to say that there's someone I can count on always. That's
super special. Like, I did one of these with David Butler. And the way he would describe himself, he's like, I'm a Jesus person. And just that draw to Jesus and the Savior. But, like, I would kind of say the same thing about you. You're a Jesus person. Like, it's like that pillar has always been something that you talk about, you draw on, you can feel it, and it's super fun. So I feel really lucky to be your friend, to be your neighbor, to, business partner, and always cheering for your successes, and just would challenge you to, like, let that light shine as bright and as big and as bold as you can let it shine, because, women need amazing mentors. And I would put you in that category of an amazing person to follow, that if somebody modeled your habits and your rituals and your faith and your marriage and the way that you respond to things and the way you show up, that, they're going to live a better life than not doing those things. So anyway,
means a ton.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for finally getting together.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate all the good you do and what you put out and how it's blessed our family's life and my life, and blesses so many others besides us too. We sure love you guys.
Thanks, Lizzy. This podcast is brought to you by Sandlot Partners.